Ladies and gentlemen, TBE typically stands for the best ever. But now, over the offseason, we learned that TBE in Florida State fandom means the Battle's End. And today, we have one of the members of the Battle's End, Mr. Max Moody, a.k.a. one of my best friends, a.k.a. the greatest girl that I know. Today, on today's show, we'll talk more about TBE, the Battle's End, and how he's able to facilitate, help out, and basically help guide FSU back to the mountaintop. All that and more on today's edition of Locked On Seminoles. Max, let's ride.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to another edition of Locked On Seminoles. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Drake here, and today in the stream yard, I got the homie, the playboy, my friend, my best friend himself, Mr. Max Moody. Maximus, good looking.
Not much, man. Not much. As you can see, I'm in the hotel. We're going to talk about Battle's End, and it's the real work there is done by people much more capable, much smarter than myself. I'm just happy to help out where I can, but still got a day job. Still got a job I care deeply about. I'm grateful to do, and that puts me on the road sometimes. So y'all are getting the inside view of a hotel while you get an inside look into the Battle's End.
And you still look wonderful, even though you're not in the command center back over in Georgia. I won't say the city, but folks, y'all know you follow him on the gram or on Twitter. But Max, enough of where you're living at, enough of where you're hanging out. Let's talk about TBED, the best to ever do it, aka the Battle's End. Now, I wanted to ask you specifically, what attracted you to help, start this out or assist with the development of this great organization? Was it, player retention? Was it specifically NAL giving opportunities to these kids? What made you so attracted to this?
So it wasn't anything about that at first, right? I was made aware that this was happening, and I basically said, hey, if I can do anything to help, let me know. But it wasn't anything different than how I've always approached it, with Florida State. I love this school. I love this program. My family's had season tickets since before I was born. I mean, growing up, we'd go to at least 4 games a year. A lot of years we'd go to all 6 or 7 home games. Even living in Washington, D.C. for 5 years, I would still make it back for, 2 or 3 games. It's just, it's just always been something that I think has been a source of community for me, right? And anything I can do to help grow that community and help provide that for other people, I've always wanted to do. So it's kind of a dream come true. And I'm incredibly grateful to get to help grow this program. And what this program needed at the time, we're talking late November, early December, was to be more competitive in the NIL space, to retain a large portion of our roster. And, again, I'm not the funder of it by any means. I'm not the head honcho of it. That's Ingram Smith, the CEO. And there's a whole great team behind him. But, just getting to help in a small part, again, I'm extremely grateful. And it was about helping Florida State. But to your point, man, it's been really cool to provide the opportunity for these athletes. Yes, NIL is going to keep changing and evolving, but these kids aren't like, you know what I mean? It's not like they've become, lottery winners overnight or anything. They're finally able to earn money for the service that they provide in an equitable fashion. And it's really cool to see.
And not only that, I think the biggest thing about NL and why I was so attracted to it even before it kind of became into law back in 2021 was that it gives the kids not only the opportunity, but also helps people around them, help them take the most advantage of those opportunities they weren't originally afforded and honestly should have been afforded because of their actual skill set, actually athletes and if they're playing. So I kind of want to ask you, how has this been able, how have you seen through your eyes and through your participation with the Battle's End as you're seeing these opportunities being given to the student athletes?
So yeah, man, a big philosophy point at the Battle's End is we go beyond the paycheck, because if you've been following the space, you know that most major Power 5 schools have donors that want to write checks to win football games. And we could probably do that, but our philosophy is not to just, again, pay a kid money and, have him perform because he's paid a salary. Now, obviously, we can't do pay for play. I'm not accusing any other schools of that. But what I am saying is that, we're trying to help these kids unlock their potential, both personally and professionally, right? Try to help them learn how to be who they're going to become and how to make the most of it. Look, the reality is this: athletes don't live normal lives. I mean, I've never been a Power 5 D1 athlete, but their life is different than all of ours. No one ever stops me on campus asking me for an autograph. The ones that go
Sure.
on to play on Sunday, yeah, right.
You sure about
Nope.
that? I remember if you as rush chair was a little bit different. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But yeah, the ones that go on to play on Sunday, they're going to have sums of money that are frankly incomprehensible to the average person. So we want to set them up for success with all of that going on in their life and use, the network, frankly, of Florida State alumni that can help teach them these things, or people that maybe aren't Florida State alumni, but just genuinely care about the kids. So our approach to NIL has been very much about the development of the student athlete. The coaches take care of them on the field. We're trying to help them off the field. And, yeah, it's been cool to get to also see them talk about, maybe some things that they get to buy with their own money for the first time, because they're 20-year-old kids who, a lot of them, like, this may be their first paycheck. So that part's kind of neat too.
I mean, it's pretty dope, and also stuff that you're actually able to help the kids, like experience. Like I know that you guys sent Jordan Travis and Trey Benson actually to the Super Bowl a few short weeks ago, and then I think I saw that there was a trip that you facilitated for Jared Verse, Fabian Lovett, Kalen DeLoach, and I forgot there's one more kid's name. Actually, I think went down. I think
No,
with John
yeah,
Lewis.
it was just the three of them, and Kalen's sister came with. We sent them to the Congressman John Lewis Foundation, or I guess Legacy Institute's Memorial Gala in Atlanta. It was at the Porsche Experience, and I got to talk to him, and it wasn't just showing up for no reason. Again, that back to my earlier monologue. It's really important that we are doing things that are impactful, but B, are important to the kids that way, or the young men, I'm sorry, important to them. That way they're, able to be passionate about what they're doing. So at that gala, John Lewis was part of the Freedom Riders in Alabama. Before he was a congressman, I got to stand there with Fabian and Kalen and Jared, and they got to see a restored version of the Freedom Rider bus. They got to sit on it. You guys can see the pictures on social media. They don't really do it justice. I mean, they got to meet with the mayor of Atlanta, and they got to meet so many people who care so passionately about the civil rights cause. And that's an opportunity that, frankly, I don't think any other NIL organization is providing to their young men. So yeah, that's the first of many, but we're looking to do more stuff like that with our guys.
As a former compliance officer, that was kind of our thing. And that's why I love what you guys are doing, that you're helping prepare them for the next steps after college, because a lot of places, schools in particular, aren't very good at helping their alumni, whether it be athletics or students as a whole. So to me, what you guys are doing and bridging the gap between, the adult world and basically being out to Wild West from college is basically something that no other organization right now is actually doing.
Yeah, and it's not just athletes, right? That's kind of the last thing I'll say. I implore people to try to remember when you were in college. I mean, there's a lot you don't know about the world, and you don't find out till you get there. So anything that we can do to help these young men, or me, like really anybody, like whether it's an undergrad looking to go into consulting, or it's someone that's going into politics and wants to pick my brain, finds me on LinkedIn. Any kind of clarity that I can help or can connect you with someone that can help provide it. It's a very it's important, because we all got to where we are because we had someone kind of giving us a roadmap, right? And hopefully we can just be one of the many cartographers giving these guys their roadmap to success.
There is the Max Moody wordplay cartographers. It only took us 10 minutes in today's episode to get to that, but it's also 10 minutes into our first sponsor for today's show, and that is our friends over at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Folks, the midway point of the NBA season is here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's numero uno sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet does not win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use, that you can bet on everything from the money line to point scorers and even threes drained. Look at the Miami Heat. Kevin Love just got signed. El Gringo Bandito from Cleveland coming down. I'm stoked. Holly, Stacy, they're also stoked. So don't miss out today. Get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/lockedon. LOCKEDON. Make every moment matter more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Max, we are back. We are rocking and rolling. We want to thank each and every single one of you for being us, Locked On Seminoles, your first listen each and every single day. As always, 5-star reviews in Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast from. Now, Max, You were formerly on the show. We were Knowles
Yes.
Anonymous, then Locked On. You did some executive brief for a while, and now you are helping out with the Bow's End. I want to ask you, how has this opened your eyes into the dynamics of basically maybe not really recruiting, but how the transfer portal works, or how administration works, or even how a football program works when it comes to basically you being the TBE and going away from the journalism side?
Yeah, it's been really interesting, but again, we view ourselves very much as almost a startup mentality where we're trying to find sustainable ways to keep this going. And we're opening our website today. I hope each and every one of you will visit and contribute. We'd love to have you part of the family. I mean, we're going to do a lot of cool stuff, and there will be some pretty cool benefits and all that good stuff. But we're very much focused on not just being a collect donations, give out money. I mean, we want to find actual revenue generating opportunities for these young men, ways that they can actually grow their brand, help them build sustainable income streams. So I guess what I'm saying is I've been pretty focused on it from a business perspective, not as
Mm-hmm.
much nuts and bolts football. I mean, as you know, until the recent Florida law change, we couldn't coordinate at all with the football team or the coaches or the boosters or anyone there. We're still trying to understand that law, so we haven't really changed much yet. But yeah, I mean, I'll put it this way: it's Florida State is not in the trouble it used to be, and I can now confidently say that. I think a lot of people were rightly so concerned about would we fall behind in NIL, and I don't think that's at risk of happening anymore as long as we're able to keep sustaining the momentum we've sustained, and we get all of you fine folks as part of the Battles End family.
So then, how can people actually show their support? Because now the website, as you're saying, it is launching today. What do you want folks to kind of know and understand? Like, how are they actually able to help the Battles and achieve their ultimate goal?
Sure. Yeah. Folks, go to thebattlesend.com. You'll see the join the family page because it is important to us. I mean, look, we're a family. Florida State as a community is, to me, one big family. I mean, there's family members I'm not all that close with that are also Seminole fans, and those 12 times a year, all the animosity's gone, and we want to make sure that everyone in the community feels that. So there's various levels you can sign up at, recurring donations. There's various benefits, things like that. We don't need to, you can see it on the website, thebattlesend.com. Check it out. And look forward to having you all be part of the Battles End family.
Why, I guess, TBE specifically, your main focus was, and from the beginning, on player retention. Is there a reason why specifically TBE actually focused on that aspect? Because it is different. I know the transfer portal is a big thing, NIL is another big thing as well. Why was player retention the most important factor for you guys from the get-go?
Yeah, I'm actually glad you brought that up because this is kind of one of the myths that's sort of percolated in the space and been, it just has become a truth, even though it's not it isn't. Here's the thing, man. We're focused on retention because that's all an NIL organization can do. We are not allowed to enter deals with high schoolers. We are not allowed to use NIL as an inducement for transfers or for high schoolers. I mean, it's a very cut and dry law, and we follow the law. So, there's been this idea that, oh, well, TBE is, Battles End is retention, and, Rising Spirit will be high school recruitment. No NIL organization is focused on recruitment. Now, if we build a strong, sustainable NIL organization that can make sure players are maximizing the value of their personal brands, and B, are getting a much more enriching experience as a student athlete because of the other benefits that we are able to provide to them, will that pay dividends on the recruiting trail? Possibly, but we're not allowed, nor will we directly ever try to make that link, if that makes sense.
But folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but we'll be back with Max afterwards, a word from our sponsors. All right, so Max, TBE came strongly, I guess, into the offseason with a statement. And that was your first priority was securing the retention of one Mr. Jordan Travis, your boy. You've been the president of the Dre Trav fan club, the J Trav Hive, since day one. We called him a gamer. We had Eric Kresser, his former QB coach, actually on this program 2 years ago. I'm going to find the video. So actually, we posted the video online for y'all to use. So overall, when you see the way this roster is constructed with the players you've retained, and I'm assuming also that you met some of these players with TBE, such as a Jarian Jones, a Joshua Farmer, a Robert Scott. So how do you feel about the players coming back? How do you feel that them coming back is able to actually put FSU in a prime position to not only compete for the conference, but also be a potential CFP dark horse for the season because, quite frankly, this is the most exciting it has been to be an FC fan in a very long time.
Look, I won't mince words. I think you have a potential championship team on your hands. Now, do I think this team is, it's again, it's like the little Giants, right? Where they're like, hey, if you had to play them 100 times, they might win 99, but you got to win one. I think this team, yeah, maybe Georgia beats them a lot, right? They're the gold standard right now. But do I think that out of 100 times, this team, there's any team that they lose to 100 of those? Absolutely not. In fact, out of 10 times, I don't think there's any team in the country this team is going to lose to more than 7 or 8 times, right? And that's high praise coming from me. Y'all know I'm an analytics guy because not very long ago, I would have said there were several teams in the country, and not much longer before that, I would have said there's a longer list than we'd like to admit of teams in the country that you lose to 10 out of 10 times. And that is to say, this team can beat anyone on any given day, especially if everything's clicking. So, yeah, I think you have a potential championship team on your hands. And I'm not just saying that because of the affiliation. I mean, you look at the depth you're returning, you look at the coaching that you're returning, you look at the cultural buy-in that you have in that locker room, you look at the preparation they're going to be able to do, like we talked about earlier this week, in spring practice and in fall camp because of the depth they return. And then you look at the complementary pieces that have come through the transfer portal, and you can't help but be over the moon about this team. You really can't.
I mean, not only that, I listened to the interview with Brendan and El Jefe de los Jefes, Mr. Ingram Smith, actually the other day, and it does feel like it finally has, everyone is on the same page. It's in alignment that we all look good as a unit. From admin to TBE to the program, the players, the coach. It just feels like the stars are almost there to alignment. And now all we need to do is play some damn games. But Max, as always, it's great to have you on. Please let the folks know where they can follow you, follow your work, or if you want to plug in some of your TBE players, plug in their work as well.
Yeah, folks, make sure that you follow The Battles End on Instagram. We unfortunately had to switch it up a little this week, but every Wednesday we've been doing a day in the life takeover series. So we've had like Johnny Wilson, we've had Tatum Bethune, and we had one other. I'm so sorry. Oh, Hakeem Williams. Come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
We had Hakeem Williams. We had
at the boy King, bro. Come on now.
Yeah, and Johnny Wilson so far. Bro. I know we've got the next 2 months of them scheduled out. So every Wednesday there's a day in the life takeover. You get like a real cool look into like what a student athlete does every day. Y'all can also find us on Twitter at The Battles End for updates there. And again, make sure you go to thebattlesend.com, join the family, see what it's all about. And yeah, go Noles, guys. It's a really exciting time to be a Seminoles fan. So Drake, thanks for having me, man. I will take us home by saying I'm Max, that was Drake, and I miss saying this. This was Locked On Seminoles.
Take care, everybody.
Hijacked that one from you, but I had to.
I know you did.